Welcome, students, to this mini lesson on how to conclude your personal narrative. Okay, a good narrative essay not only tells a good story, but it also gives a reader a reason for reading it. It gives some sort of sense of the larger meaning of the story. That might take the form of a reflection about what the experience meant to the writer, or it might be a broader lesson about life in general. Either way, it will somehow address the question, why is the writer telling this story, and why should the reader care? Now, skillful writers do this without having to resort to summing up their essay at the very end. I realize that. That's bad writing. Don't do that. Instead, they weave elements all throughout the plot, and then they end on some sort of reflection at the end. And it comes to some satisfying conclusion at the end. So here's what we've got for today. I've got 5 conclusions of essays that you've already read. Throughout the last few weeks, you've already read these essays, you've already analyzed them. Now you're going to specifically look at how these students concluded their essays. So your assignment for this is to make 7 to 10 annotations total, not for each conclusion, just total, and you are going to look specifically at how these students concluded their essays. So you've read them before. The first one is speechless. The next one is pants on fire, cracks in the pavement, fear on my mind, and then brown is beautiful. All of these students either won the 2019 personal narrative contest, they received a runners up or an honorable mention. So these are good examples of student writing. So here are the questions I want you to keep in mind as you're reading and annotating these conclusions. What is your takeaway from the essay? That is, what would you say the writer wanted you to learn or to understand or realize? How did the writer impart this information? What sentences and details did this best? You will notice none of these essays end with, in the end, I realized that. No, that's bad writing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. How does the writer build towards this larger message? Does it seem tacked on, or does it flow naturally? And then finally, there's always the question, what else do you admire about these essays? So you'll go ahead, you'll reread those, pay specific attention to how they conclude, how they reflect, and how they give that last few sentences a very satisfying closure to the end. So pay attention to that. Now, at the bottom, you have your now try this. Now, remember, this is all in preparation for the essay that you are going to write for this class. And if you'd like, you can submit that essay to this Learning Network contest. So think about what you've learned from the experience that you've been writing about. What do you want your readers to take away from your essay? That is, after they've read your piece, what do you want them to think, to realize, to understand about you or the experience? Now, I have 4 sentence starters. Pick one and finish that sentence. Now, this story matters because as it was happening, I was thinking this experience made me realize that. Looking back now, I see that. You are not going to finish your essay like this. These sentence starters are just to get you thinking about how you're going to conclude your essay and what you want your reader to take away with. Later, when you write your essay, you are not going to conclude with this story this story matters because, or looking back, no. This is just a mental exercise to help you understand how you would like to conclude your essay, the big message and the takeaway. You're not going to take this sentence starter and write it in your essay and use it in your essay. So, folks, I hope you've learned something about how to conclude your personal narratives, how to avoid those lame cliches. And as always, this is Mr. Bockold. Keep writing, keep learning.